Welcome to this session hosted by the United States Institute of Peace. My name is Rebecca Ibn-Izabiola. I work on the Curriculum and Training Design team at USIP, and I'm going to be moderating today's conversation. Just to give you a little bit of background about USIP, USIP is a national, non-partisan independent institute founded by Congress and dedicated to the proposition that a world without violent conflict is possible, is practical, and it is essential. In conflict zones abroad, the Institute works with local partners to prevent, mitigate, and resolve violent conflict. As you could see from the opening slide, our session today is tagged Peace and Pandemics, Youth Innovating for Peace During COVID-19. And I've got to tell you, our speakers today are amazing. They're all fellows of the Generation Change Fellows Program. Generation Change Fellows Program is a flagship program of the youth team at USIP. The program strengthens youth leaders' capacity to build peace and contributes to social change in their communities. Before I introduce you to the speakers, let's do a quick poll. And the poll question will be coming right up. So the question is, did you try something new or innovative during the pandemic? It could be like in your personal or professional life. So select your answers now. Okay, can we see the results of the poll? Quite a number of you, 81% did something innovative and new during the pandemic. That's so great to hear, because you're in the midst of people who did the same. Our amazing speakers, 4 of them, well, 3 because one couldn't join because there's a blackout in her country. All of them did amazing, innovative, pivoted their peace building work during the pandemic. And today they'll be sharing their experiences. Let me quickly introduce them to you. One, we have Rech Malual. He's a Generation Change Fellow from South Sudan. He has over 10 years of experience in journalism and legal practice, as well as in human rights and advocacy, as well as countering hate speech. He's a former journalist with the UN, and currently is a founder and executive director of an organization called Screen of Rights. Next, we have Tania Rosas, who is from Colombia. She founded Origin Learning Fund and an app, which she's going to talk about today, called OLAB. It's an offline app, that promotes inclusive and personalized learning for at-risk Indigenous and refugee children and youth. She's been recognized as the Young Leader for SDGs by the UN. Last but not least is Fatin Kalfala, another fellow from Tunisia. She's the founder and president of Tunisian Education Association called First Skills Club. She's also the Autodesk ambassador in Tunisia, and she's really at the forefront of introducing kids to the world of 3D design and printing. She's also going to be talking about how she used that skill, during the pandemic. All right, let's get started. Fatin, Tania, Rech, let's start by you just painting a picture for us on what you saw in your community that made you, during the pandemic, that made you decide, I need to either continue what I'm doing or pivot my work during the pandemic. Fatin, let's start with you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining this webinar, and I'm so happy to join you. So first of all, I would like to say that in this pandemic, so I've seen a lot of people like looking to your eyes and saying that we need you, we need our community, we need you to collaborate, we need you to find a solution, we need you to save us from this pandemic, and we need life. So if we are living together, so we have to find solutions to each other and save each other. We need to love each other, and we need to feel like we love to live. We need life to others. So it's a big message that we've seen. That's why we've started collaborating in order to say that we are educated and we are engineers. So how engineers can be problem solvers, in fact, and how we can suggest solutions in order to save lives. And that was the beginning.
So I want you to speak a little bit more. You said as an engineer, you thought that you were responsible. You needed to be at the forefront of saving life. What exactly did you do? What was your intervention?
So when we speak about engineers, so they are problem solvers. They need to find solutions. So as we are working on 3D designing, so we've designed face shields in order to protect the doctors or the medical staff in hospitals, in order to be able to communicate with cases, with COVID-19 cases. So it wasn't so easy to make it happen. So we've started by 3D designing. So we've asked students to suggest some models, some designs, and then so each time we put it on our heads in order to see if it is reliable or not. So it wasn't easy to work on it because we've moved in family, so with my husband and my kids, to the local of the association where there is no bedroom, nothing in order to host. But the only thing that we are seeing is just how we can participate or how we can propose something that can be reliable in our community and help doctors and medical staff in order to contact or communicate with these cases and be able to decrease this suffering from the community.
So how many of those face shields did you do at the end? Just give us a number.
Yeah, so first we designed by 3D printing, so we weren't able to make a lot, so about 50 pieces. But at the end, we've changed strategy because we've begun by a 3D printer, and then we've moved to CNC machine. So we've designed more than 2,000 face shields, and we've distributed them to the medical staff and also for security staff.
Ah, interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you
Tanya, you are also an educator. Tell us about what you did during the pandemic.
Hi, and first, thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored to be here and to share this panel with you, Rebecca, and also with everybody. Last year in Colombia alone, more than 100,000 students dropped out of school due to the pandemic. And around the world, more than 11 million girls could not return to school after this crisis. More than 11 million. In my region, when a girl is out of school, it affects whole communities. It looks like gender violence, forced marriages, and teenage pregnancies. This is why we launched OLA, which is an offline learning app that we are providing to schools and NGOs across the world to continue and further the education process. OLA works offline and in many different languages, even indigenous tongues, so that we can ensure that we can include everybody and their education is not stopped during the pandemic. I believe that education can lead to peace and be a part of building back better by supporting the transformation of the security situation, political institutions, economic regeneration, and social development. And as His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, peace doesn't mean an absence of conflict. Difference will always be there. Peace means solving this difference through peaceful means, dialogue, education, knowledge, and through human ways. So I believe that education can help us to build back better and to bring peace to many communities.
So do you have like some data on how many users of OLAB right now?
Yeah, around 20,000 worldwide.
Really? Not just in Colombia, around the world?
No, I don't know. Mainly in the global south.
Oh, interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so Reg, you are a journalist. Tell us about your work. What did you do during the pandemic and how did your work shift?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, my work cutters across being a journalist and then after that, a legal practitioner. In the beginning of the pandemic, South Sudanese had it so difficult because there was a fear that South Sudan, we don't have good medical facilities, so forth. So that fear also led to some individuals believing that the UN workers and international organizations might be intentionally wanting to spread the disease. And I want to read, because I cannot display my presentation because I am not using my laptop, but let me read something. Or let me just show some part of it. Maybe it could be seen here. You could see, if you can read this, somebody is saying that UN camps should be attacked, and every individual South Sudanese should actually revenge themselves before they die. Wars are now for the people of South Sudan to go out in masses and attack every UN worker and be able to revenge themselves. Because what they said is that the first case was a UN employee. So they thought maybe this thing is just something related to race, only the white people that can be sick, and only the white people that are bringing it into the country. And given the fact that they have some scenarios, like this guy is able to cite the fact that he said in Congo or DRC Congo, Ebola was not able to move out of the country until the Congolese people were able to attack the UN camps, and then it stopped. So it was trying the people that it is real that we are going to die, and only the UN employees are bringing our death. So literally, what did after that was writing a press release. Maybe you guys can be able to see it here as well. This is a press release. The logo on the other side is for Action Against Hate. It's a program run by the Screen of Rights. We counter hate speech online and offline. And in this, we were able to categorically say that hate speech is a crime against humanity. And we are able to point out that these same UN workers were the one who saved your lives during the 2013, 2014, 2015 war, and also in 2016. So nothing has changed much. These are the same people who have been feeding you all along, giving you food when you have one. So on the next day, actually, we were able to get the Chief Justice, who refused to let his kids be vaccinated, or let his kids be actually checked, medically checked. The Chief Justice came from London with his kids, and he refused the authorities he did not adhere to the COVID-19, the COVID-19 checkups that are normally done at the airport. And that also became a point, because if a South Sudanese can refuse, and you are targeting foreigners because you think they are sick, and a South Sudanese man is not able to allow his own case to be, to go through the normal process of checkups. And this is what the social media was, and the critique on the Chief Justice of the country, who just flown in with his family and refused his family to be, to go through the normal processes laid down by the Ministry of Health on how to prevent the pandemic. Not only that, we were able to also go online and be able to, we recorded videos and be able to talk to people online. We captured influential people, and they were talking, including government officials, the media authority officials, and we got support from the NRC and the European Union, and then it was channeled through the Screen of Rights. What we witnessed the next day is that you can see here one of the newspapers written, the first case is a foreigner. That in itself is a hate speech. And we took our action by telling them this is a crime, because hate speech in some sins is a crime against humanity. So I was able to combine my my journalistic and legal expertise to be able to fight it. This is what we were able to do. Like, you know, you could see there, like, we were able to say that anything related to pandemic should not be, you know, should not be made an issue of comparing other people. And that is my photo on one of the newspapers that is leading. And on the next day after that, we were able to get Antonio Guterres, who spoke categorically about hate speech and why stigmatization of COVID-19 shouldn't be the case. And what we saw on the next day is President Salva Kiir. You can see him there. That is what he categorically added his voice to ours, that hate speech should not be stigmatized, and you know, stereotypes shouldn't come in. All of us, you know, are humans in the end, and diseases do not know who is human. I mean, who is the white man or who is the black man. The COVID-19 was coming to all of us, and hence the call for all of us to fight COVID-19. So literally,
Okay, I think we're losing Reg.
all these online. I mean, yes, you guys are hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Okay, so Reg, thank you.
Thank you
for that. Yes, we hear you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for that overview of how you were able to use your journalistic skills to counter hate speech in South Sudan. What I'm hearing from all three of you is that you use technology in some way. Tanya, you created an app. Fatin, you use 3D technology. And Reg, you use social media. What were the challenges you experienced? Did you experience any challenges as a result of using technology? And what were those challenges, if you could share? Any of you can start, maybe Tanya? What were some of the challenges?
Yeah, well, we need to act fast. And even though we didn't have the whole funding that we were expecting, we had to work with many youth. We have to also bring many students from universities to create this and to build this. We were actually designing this app for during the whole year. We launched it, and the first pilot was here in Colombia, and then we were trying to reach out to many schools to try it and to hear their feedback. So I think the biggest challenge was that we have to act fast. There were many children dropping out of school, and there were many schools like already requiring us to help them with the technology. So we were like doing, like we had many long nights and long days. We needed to act really fast.
It was really the urgency for you. And I suspect, Fatin, you were talking about how the first iteration, your 3D designs were slow and you could only do 20 in a long time. Was urgency your issue as well, knowing that you needed to get this product out, or did you have other kind of challenges?
No, I had already, but as she said, Tanya. So we would like that we have the products fast because we need a big quantity. So one piece in 1 hour. So it requires a lot of time in order to get pieces. So the first challenge, that's why we focused on a new strategy, because they said to us that CNC machine will be more reliable in order to have more quantity. And at that time, so we could make more than 100 pieces on a day, the same day. So it wasn't so difficult for us. Also, the second challenge that we have the product made, but we need to assemble. So I need to assemble them by hand. So handly, I need to put the transparent in order to have the shield that we have to protect the face. So it wasn't also easy to make it, and to make more than 100 pieces on a day. So it was sleepless nights in order to make them happen, because every day we have a doctor that can recuperate these items. Also, another challenge was because we've made not only the face shields, but we made some suits for the doctors, more than 300 suits, in order to protect them and to be sterilized after entering to the different rooms. So I didn't know how to make suits, but I've learned. So it was really something new. And the most important thing is to how to have the primary material that we can accept with, if it is the for the face shields or for the suits. All the shops were closed because it's lockdown. So how can we get this material? How to get money in order to have a lot and a lot of this material? And here, really, I would like to thank all the persons and organizations that made the impossible in order to provide us with everything we need in order to make that happen.
Great. So moving forward, you both have spoken about challenges. And Rich, feel free to jump in here. Are you going to continue in this line of work? Yes, COVID is still here, but hopefully things are easing in many countries. Are you seeing opportunities, for continuing this work, or do you think, oh, there's going to be a change soon? What are you seeing? What are the opportunities that you're finding?
Well, our opportunities is that, not many South Sudanese that are online, but the few that are online, they normally translate the same to offline tea places and other places that they gather and discuss. So we found it that social media is very powerful tool that we can be able to use for advocacy, and particularly when things that we need to not necessarily countering hate speech, but could be any other positive means, like maybe we want to convey a certain message. I think we will continue to use that. Literally, the Screen of Rights Action Against It had been using social media, and as well as offline means like radio to send out messages. But social media has proven to be very much having impact because of the COVID. We could not use any other means because you are not allowed to touch that there. So we can stay in our own room and be able to advocate and to be able to send out messages that can prevent people. For example, during the pandemic, people were saying that South Sudanese are immune from getting COVID, and so they were not even adhering to COVID-19 measures. So what we did was also going out that COVID-19, got so and so and so and so, and these are the people that they know. So when you know that your friend is positive with COVID-19, you will know definitely that COVID-19 is real, and it will, you might be diagnosed positive someday. So we were able to convince some of the individuals who were making it very hard for health authorities to put down the measures and be able to execute them. So one opportunity is that maybe COVID-19 is not ceasing, and we will continue to use the same mechanism that we used to advocate, and it has proven to be very much impactful, and that is the opportunity that we can never miss again, because we know now where to channel our messages in case we are not able to find people physically and talk to them.
Great. Tanya, Fatin, if you have anything to add to that, in terms of opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think Sorry,
Yeah, go for it, Tanya. Go.
No, I just wanted to add that, yeah, as we all mentioned, technology can actually be an opportunity to build back better and for everyone, like for every project. We didn't expect actually to be that focusing on developing our own app and our platform. But now it seems like we are impacting more children and youth than we were expecting to do. We continue growing and working with other partners worldwide. So yeah, technology can definitely be a good ally for this building back better.
Yeah, so in fact, for me, so what I've seen in this as opportunity that we began working on technology with kids from years ago, but it was so hard to convince parents that we are working on changing mentalities. So we are working on proving that not only diplomas are needed nowadays in order to find professions or find professional life later. So we need skills, we need competencies that we have to develop them from an early age, and we have to learn kids or promote technology for kids in order to use it for positive use, positive impact, to solve problems, how we can use this technology in order to find solutions for community problems around us, because we suffer from a lot of problems around us, but who can understand that we are able to give solutions. So in this pandemic, so it's a big opportunity for us because we proved that what we've learned, it's time now to practice it and to put it in the market and to put it for all the people that need to survive, that need to see their lives surviving the pandemic. So it's really an opportunity also to see that we are living in a world that we need to collaborate our efforts together in order to find solution for the whole world. So in such pandemic, so the whole world is suffering from the same problem. So, and we are living in these days the need to everyone who can say to us, the solution is with me.
So there's something interesting I'm hearing from all three of you. It's as if beyond the product or the intervention you were able to do, you were also able to facilitate behavior change in some way. For example, Tanya says she's been able to convince a lot more people to get on the app, something that was hard to do in the first place. Fatin, you're able to convince more parents, to get their children involved in STEM and, in 3D printing and in technology. And Reg was able to get people, to acknowledge the fact that, COVID is here. Why do you think all of those were possible? Do you think there were certain conditions that made it possible during this COVID period, something you were not able to achieve really prior to COVID? Have you reflected on that before to see what were some of those things that made your interventions work this time? What was it?
I guess the urgency. The urgency, they saw the problem, they saw that the schools were closing, and there was any other way to continue education. So, because I was working with rural schools and rural communities, and they actually saw technology as something that might be harmful for them. But we were able to design technology that can be adaptable to them, working with them. We work in this design with them together, so they build this. For us, it was important to have their opinion and their feedback. So I guess the urgency of seeing this as a problem and a solution was something that we didn't get to get before the pandemic.
Is that similar for you, Fatin and Reg?
Yeah, so I think that it's a big opportunity to promote the peace education. via using experimental learning. So I'm always saying that we need an experimental learning, that learning by doing, learning by making things. So because the future needs things, the future needs actions, the future needs something can happen from all of us, from a collaboration of all the communities in order to find everything ready for the future. So I think that such a pandemic, such a situation, made everything is open to try. You can try everything, just find it. So it was the opportunity to let people try, let people get out from the box that they are in. So it was really an opportunity for many either adults to find something inside that they didn't discover before.
That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Reg, was that different for you, or what was the South Sudan
well,
experience?
for me, well, the South Sudan experience was that not everybody was online, but then we were at the verge that only social media could be used to send out messages. So if you are to get anything related to maybe news or anything, because we have the national TV here and not everybody watches it, but social media is accessible on phones and so forth. So the people of South Sudan found it easier to be able to find, messages online, and that's what forces them. Because if we did not communicate through the online means, they wouldn't get it anyway. So everybody, I think, was busy looking at their phone and whatsoever access that they had to access the social media, and that became a very good method of sending messages. And many of the people got their messages through the same, and they listened to it, and then their behavior started to change. And I think that's what I can say for now.
Okay, before I continue asking you questions, I just want to acknowledge our guests. Thank you all again for listening to this conversation. And please, by all means, use the chat to ask questions. Any question that occurs to you as we are having this conversation. And in a little while, I'm going to go through the questions and pick a few and ask our discussants. Okay, everyone, thank you for those interesting perspectives. So now I'm wondering, obviously, earlier I asked about, is this a line of intervention that you will continue to do? And all of you virtually said yes. So I'm curious to know, what do you need? What kind of development do you need? Or what kind of, what will help you scale your work? What's going to help you be able to scale your work? Like Tanya, beyond the 20,000 users you currently have, or Fatin, beyond the 2,000 pieces of face shields you're able to do, or reach beyond the people you're able to reach through social media. What would you like to see, that would help you be able to even do more?
Working in partnerships. We are always searching for new partners and to work with community-based organizations worldwide so that we can have the feedback, because they are in the ground. And for us to improve our technology and to grow, we need to get more partners, and we need to talk and work with other organizations that are willing to use technology and to work with that and to provide elite education to their own communities by themselves. So yeah, working in partnership is our goal, to create a large network of partners.
And what kind of partners would you be looking for? Is it more on the technology side or in the content creation side, or?
Yeah, and the content creation and also organizations that are working with communities in topics such as education, in any education field. Yeah, content creators, schools, NGOs working in education.
Fatin and Rich?
Yeah. For me, so I really want to engage more and more kids in such activities. I really need to find partners that are working on the same objectives, changing visions, changing the people mentality that we have to work together in order to save this world.
So again, partnerships,
Yes,
collaboration.
yes, yes. Yes, supporting these initiatives and supporting, because we are not only working on for COVID-19, because we will have a lot of problems that we are facing. So we need people that are able to discuss issues, and we need people that are able to find solutions and to brainstorm together, to discuss together. So this is missing really. So seriously, we need to engage more and more young generation in order to be the change later. And of course, it will not be easy for me alone. So we need to make difference by having a lot of organizations or partners together in order to make it happen. Everything is easy.
Are there other organizations in Tunisia doing the same thing you're doing?
There are, but not the same.
Okay.
Not the same. Yeah, but because I'm working from an early age, so the early age is so critical, because 10 years old kid, so it's not easy to work with this kid that you are empowering his skills and working on a serious training. So like an academy, like you are giving skills and also giving competencies to use them later, and also communication skills. So we need someone who is able to communicate, but communicate via technology, via Steam.
Okay. Rach, I don't know if you have something to add.
Well, I think for my case, we already have some milestones, like we are affiliates of the Facebook, and we've been able to see how positive Facebook could be used. And from time to time, the Facebook have also trained us on how we can be able to acquaint ourselves with their policies, on how to deal also with things that are not in line with community policy with the Facebook. On the other hand, we have also a sisterly organization that is doing the same. It's called Defy Head now, and I believe also Nelson Kwaje is also a fellow with the U.S. Institute of Peace, Generation Change. And we've been doing quite a lot, and we are the two organizations that are affiliates to Facebook, and that means we are also advanced in a way in being able to make the Facebook being used, safely. And like in South Sudan, we have a lot of things. For example, our diaspora is more focused on negative propaganda that sometimes can even allow war to continue in South Sudan. So our advocacy is not going to end with the pandemic. It's going to continue, and we're going to counter any hate speech. We're going to counter any every aspect of negativity that comes across. And I believe what we're going to need more is also international partnerships, like with the Facebook and any other person interested, whether U.S. Institute of Peace or Peace Tech Lab, any other organization that is working with relation to peace and technology. We're also going to need financial support, though that is not going to back us down from doing whatsoever we are doing. We're going to need also legal support, because there are people who could be South Sudanese and they stay abroad. They can have, a lot of people that follow them online, and they create problems. They create, for example, a hoax that people follow. So for us to be able to get that, we also need partnerships that are very extended worldwide.
So all of you want partnerships and collaboration. And one of the questions in the chat is, are you even collaborating among yourselves? And I think that's interesting. So yeah, Fatin and Tanya, you can respond to that. But also just three of you, are there other initiatives out there that inspire you and you're like, okay, that kind of initiative I would like to partner with or collaborate with? But yes, even within your network, you know, what collaboration is going on?
Yeah, I would love a collaboration with Red Skills. I'm just impressed to like with all that you are doing. But then so yeah, I'm willing to collaborate with any NGO that is willing to like use technology to provide education and digital skills for their own community. So that's just wonderful. Thank you for bringing me that.
Okay, so somebody might be wondering that, okay, you all are doing like great work, you know, but really what is the intersection between the work you're doing and peace building? You know, what's the intersection between, Tanya, you've created an app on education, Fatin, you're doing, you know, the work you're doing, you know, what's the intersection between your work and peace building? What would you say to someone who asks you that question?
I would love to say that everything can be happened only by education, because education is the basis of everything. And if we'd like to share peace, that's what I said. So we need to promote educational peace. So we need to share love, charity, generosity between kids that can contact each other, that can communicate with each other, that can collaborate with each other. Because if they are able to work together, so we are making peace, we are sharing peace. If we are able to suggest solutions, if we are able to feel others and to react as if we are in the place of others, so we are sharing peace. So that's why. So I've been the change generation fellow, and I love this title because really from the Institute of Peace and the change generation. So we are changing the generation. In fact, we are giving them a new perspective, a new vision for the life. Life is not just to have. Life is to have and to give. So how we can have and give? This is a whole meaning that I'm always sharing with kids. So I would like to say that peace is one of the objectives we have to work in education.
Yeah, so education is a pathway to peace.
Yeah.
It contributes
Yeah.
to peace.
Yeah.
And you bringing young kids together, you know, you're helping them, you know, learn how to,
Yeah.
you know, work with one another and co-create with one another.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because learning is not just having the information in their minds. What we need the information if you are not able to make things. What we need this information if we are not able to apply the real meaning of this information. So that's why we need to frame, or we need to train these kids that we are not educated just to have this information or to have diplomas, but we need this information in order to be able to analyze, to think, and to think again in order to do things.
Tanya, what would you say is the intersection between your work and peace building?
Yeah, what I love about education is that it can empower youth and communities. I usually work in communities where violence, war, fear is the most common thing, you know, the only thing that they see since they are born. So bringing them to another perspective of the world, making them feel like they are powerful and they can create more things than the things that they see around. It's just magic. That way, I think they're building peace. They're like we are empowering those youth that are becoming leaders in their own communities to work in different things than violence, war, armed conflict, drugs, things like that. So we are just like education. We see education not as a diploma, as Faden was mentioning, but as a way that they can learn new skills that can be useful for their own communities, and to create projects that can bring sustainable development for their communities, and to save their people so that they can feel empowered, they can feel like they can do something else, and then they can create a change. And that change brings peace. And that's the way that we are trying to get peace in our communities, through empowering those youth to access to learning programs, not only the regular school, but also to other courses created by other partner organizations, such as technology, then engineering, science, art, music, and literacy, and many other courses that they were not able to access, and they were, and then we have seen that they found something else to do, like something that really made them proud of themselves. That's the magic of what I am seeing, and that's the way that we want to link this through education.
Rach, yours is a more, I think, hate speech, peace building. There's a more direct link, but how would you frame it? How would you frame that intersection in your own?
Well, all of us know that hate speech causes genocides and killing. So if we are able to stop that, that means we are creating a peaceful community. If we are able to put into the minds of the people that hate speech is a crime and you shouldn't do it, and they stop doing it, and then we are stopping mass attacks from, because hate speech targets people on the race basis, religious basis, and whatsoever, basis that you can, even sex basis. So when we are able to stop people from thinking in a negative way against other communities, we are directly stopping violence against the other. So there is a very much link, though it's much of a human rights issue, because right to life is a human right. But however, if we are able to stop people from killing each other, that is alone a peace. And I think that is the most peace that we all want. Nobody wants to be killed.
So, earlier you all were talking about how you were able to change attitude in some way, or you were able to convince people and change behavior. And there's a question here about how do you even change the behavior and attitude of decision makers so that they include youth innovation for real, not as lip service, but how do you have experience with that? Maybe in your country or in your intervention?
I think in my presentation, I was able to show a picture of the president with his own statement. That statement came after our statement. That means we made him to issue a statement that anybody should not attack anybody. And that is already a positive attitude. And we all know in South Sudan in 2013-2016 civil war, hate speech was used to mobilize militants. For example, the government was able to use, the fact that president is a Dinka to mobilize other Dinkas, saying that the president will be killed if you don't come for our rescue. On the other hand, the opposition were saying that they were coming to revenge the people that are killed in Juba. That is already a good way. But the president by that time and the opposition leader were not able to speak up for it. But when we came in during the pandemic, you have seen even the Secretary General of the UN also issued a statement to the same effect. And the president issued a statement to the same effect. That is already a positive change of our leaders' behaviors. However, we cannot guarantee, because sometimes they may have certain things that they want to achieve in politics, and they would want to necessarily use hate speech. But then we also remind them that there is an end to everything. We have the example of Rwanda, where leaders were able to use radio stations to spread hate speech, and genocide happened. But it's still, in the end, they were held accountable. So we also remind the leaders, however you might think you are powerful, you also know there is an end that will come to you, and justice might take its course.
Thank you. So Tanya and Fatin, how do you think decision makers can incorporate more innovation and digital technology, from young people
I think decision makers will not be convinced from the beginning. So you have to work and work and work in order to be able to convince them. The big point, or the thing that which is important around us nowadays, is social media. So you can work on social media. You can make your state, your minimized state for you. You make your strategy. You try to make things happen, and day after day, with the people around you, with your supporters, with your fans, with your, if you are able to convince them, so be sure that you decision makers will be with you. So it's not easy to convince them from the beginning, because we have to start, and they will not be convinced by ideas. They need to be convinced by actions. So
have you had any experience of that in your own?
Yeah, I had.
What was that
so
like?
I've started working from 2011, and it wasn't easy to convince people about the things that I'm thinking about. So I'm saying that a kid of 10 years old or 11 years old is able to make things happen, or people laughing on that. So in 2015, so I've started working with my husband on these kids, and when they were 14, we've participated in a competition.
Okay.
And in this competition, we were winners, and we were classified among the 3 best associations here in Tunisia. So the first event that we celebrated, it was there, and people are discovering who are they, what they've made. In the contrary, so in 2013, I wasn't welcome in my school to make these activities. So imagine that I'm working with kids, but someone came to you and say, so you are not allowed to do this in school. Okay, so after that, so in 2015, I was Tech Woman 2015. So I was the alumni that was in Silicon Valley to have recognition from different companies, of technological companies. And imagine coming back to Tunisia, so you were different. You were someone who is impacted. You were someone, so it wasn't easy to convince the decision makers. Yeah. So at that time, so you have to work and to work. You have to convince yourself before, and then you can convince people around. So just work.
They
and
needed
you will
to
never
see.
regret. Yes.
They needed to see the results. You
yes.
know. Cool. Tanya, what was your experience?
It was very similar to Natalie. We started in 2015 with a research grant. It was from the government, actually, from the national government, and it allowed us to try methodologies and technology and to work with the communities directly for a long time. But yeah, they needed to see results. They needed to see what were we doing. So we started working with youth that were dropping out since 2015, and then we have to be with them during the 5 years of high school, so that we can make sure that actually our technology and our methodology can work in those schools and can bring students back to schools and education. So we needed to wait 5 years working directly with the communities with a really low budget. Then last year in 2020, we were able to actually prove that our technology and methodology work. And then that's why we decided to launch it worldwide and to just since last year make this available for other schools around the world, because we saw proven results. Then the government and other NGOs and sponsors needed to see that. So it took us 5 years to show our results. We are really proud of what we have been doing. We also, now this year, we were able to give a scholarship for the students who wanted to further their education through technology, and also universities that were willing to partner with us. So we are recruiting these students through our app in those communities, and then they are able to access to those scholarships. We are just really happy but yeah, we need to show them that this is possible, because this is not something new and they are not used to new things. So yeah.
Wow. So in all of your experiences, you just have to show, the results and what you're able to do before people can be convinced. I get that. I just wish there's more trust.
Rebecca, I would like to add something.
Yeah.
Well, when we've started, I said we've started in 2011. So we started with our salaries. So our salaries, we put them in order to begin work. So it wasn't easy to neglect all your familiar engagements and put everything in something that you want to convince people before. Yeah. And in 2016, I had the visit of the Prime Minister here in the local in order to see what happens here. So, and the first question I get is, how did you get this idea? So from there, you were extracting the mind of the decision makers. So how you are here. So from 2011 you started, and I've heard about you today. So how did you thought about this idea? So you have to work and to work in order to convince them.
Yeah. Thank you, all three of you. It's so interesting listening to your stories, your accomplishments, how you've overcome challenges. And to our guests, we are getting to the end of this session. But before we go, let's interact with you a little bit. So we want you to, class is going to drop a link in the chat right now for all of you. We want you to just in one word, tell us a feeling or a reaction that you're having from this conversation. How do you feel? In just one word. So follow the link and write one word of how you're feeling. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wondering. Inspired, enlightened. People are energized. Some are optimistic, some are hopeful. Mm-hmm. Great. I'm also inspired to read your words and reaction. And at this point, I want to say thank you to everyone who is able to join. And from what I can see, all of you stayed put. People who joined from the beginning stayed put. So thank you so much. And thanks to all of our speakers for being open and generous, with your stories and experiences. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, wherever you are. Thank you.